This video is sponsored by TLOU.
I let you live. And you wasted it.
Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and in this video we're going through the future of The Last of Us. Looking forward to Season 3, we actually have an idea of where things are going to go. It's already been confirmed that it will focus solely on Abby, and Catherine O'Hara said she's not featuring at all. So no therapy sessions, and maybe even no Jackson. Craig Mazin said they might stretch things to Season 4, so we could be seeing the end of the story come 2029, which is when the show itself takes place, which is mental. If you don't want to wait that long though, this is the video for you. Throughout it, we'll be going through the rest of the story and how things are played in the game. If you enjoy it, please hit the thumbs up and make sure you subscribe for videos like this every week. With that out of the way though, thank you for clickering this. Now let's get into The Last of Us.
Abby. Oh.
Okay, so Abby Anderson's the main antagonist in The Last of Us Part 2. In the game, she's played by Laura Bailey, whereas in the show, Caitlin Dever's filling up the tank top. While the character is most known for her brutal golf swing, Abby's story in the game is both tragic and compelling, and it parallels Ellie's journey in many ways. Introduced as a villain, players learn more about Abby's history as the game progresses and discover that the lines of good and evil may not be as clear as they thought. Now, Abby was first raised as a member of the Fireflies by her father Jerry, who was the lead doctor for the organization. After hearing of a girl who was immune to the cordyceps infection, he was tasked with working on a vaccine. Not much else is known about Abby's time growing up with the Fireflies, but players get a glimpse of her relationship with her father in the opening scene of Chapter 6. The scene takes place 4 years prior to the events of the game and shows the moment before Jerry learned the Fireflies had found Ellie. While this is the first time we see Jerry, players can find a recording he left in the hospital back in The Last of Us Part 1. There he goes in depth on Ellie's immunity. Just based on their interaction in this section though, it's clear that the two are close. When they first meet up, Abby gives him a stake coin, which both collect, which parallels Ellie's collecting of comic books with Joel. The scene also shows that Jerry's a bit of a rule breaker as well. He actually ditched his patrol duties to help find a pregnant zebra. Abby of course ends up ditching the wolves, which we'll talk more about later on, but it's clear that she got this mind state from her father. Now in the game, this small side quest with Jerry to find the zebra is really just to give players a bit of context to Abby's search for revenge, but also subtly show Jerry's genuine good nature. Being more concerned with helping an innocent animal than the orders from the Fireflies, it shows how Jerry just really wanted to help. Wait, is Joel the baddie? Players then get a glimpse of Jerry and Marlene talking about how extracting the cordyceps from Ellie's brain will kill her. Jerry justifies it though with the millions of lives that would be saved from the vaccine. This scene is a great way to showcase the theme of good and bad being a matter of perspective, and how even Jerry's desire to help people comes at the cost of something else. Abby overhears their conversation when she brings him dinner, and she assures him that he's doing the right thing and that if it was her, she would want him to do the surgery. The game then flashes forward after Joel's attack and we see Abby find Jerry's body. This in the show is the nightmare Abby has in which she goes up the hospital corridor. Future Abby tries to stop her past self because deep down she knows it brings nothing but pain and misery. Which brings us back to the present day and the moment that she kills Joel. While only consisting of about 15 minutes though, that short section really puts a lot of Abby's actions into perspective and we begin to understand her more. Later on in the game we get a small section of Abby's early days with the WLF, and the flashback heavily features Abby and Owen's relationship. At this time they're officially dating, and we start off at the Ferris wheel, which is where they discover the aquarium. This is where they make their base, and that's where Ellie goes to at the end of Season 2. We also see Abby's inability to let go of her hatred for Joel and her mission of finding him. This also indicates it's the reason she and Owen broke up, as Owen just wants to have a life with her. This kind of parallels Ellie and Dina later on, with the former destroying their small bit of happiness. This detour also gives players a better understanding of Abby and Owen's relationship together, which is a major part of Abby's story throughout the game. The scene also parallels the earlier flashback sequence with Ellie and Joel making their way to the museum, which still makes me cry every time. We also get an Easter egg of the bow that Abby would later use to escape the Seraphied Island with after the WLF's attack, which we'll also get into later. Abby and the few remaining Fireflies then eventually join the WLF under Isaac. He refers to them as the Salt Lake Crew, which is where we find them in the game. So I'm sure you've seen Huel on supermarket shelves when you're out and about, and I remember trying it a couple of months back and just loving the flavours and health benefits that came with it. I'm training for a half marathon at the moment, and Huel's given me the, pardon the pun, fuel to push through it. These are low sugar, plant-based, gluten-free meals that pack 35 grams of protein along with 26 vitamins and minerals. It's literally the first thing I use in the morning, and they've got a whole range of flavours like the iced latte that's pretty much replaced my morning coffee. I've also started using their Huel Black Edition, which is a high protein complete meal that's ready in seconds. Each shake delivers a balanced blend of carbs, fats, and 40 grams of plant-based protein plus 6 grams of fiber and 27 essential vitamins and minerals, all for just 400 calories. Amongst those are vitamin C to reduce tiredness and fatigue. It's also packed with calcium, which helps your bones and digestive system. Whether it's a high protein breakfast, lunch, or post-workout refuel, it's complete nutrition made for your busiest days. Right now, if you click my link in the description or scan the QR code, you're going to get 15% off. That code is HEAVY15, so go to my link in the description, use the code HEAVY15 and get 15% off. I really stand by this stuff. I absolutely love it. I think you'll love it too. So yeah, go get that 15% off by clicking the link in the description. Thank you. Beginning day one as Abby, this section opens with her being woken up by Manny to go and see Isaac. Quick Easter egg, Manny talks about dating a scientist who apparently talked his ear off about an incoming storm, which is the storm that arrives on day 3. While on her way, players also get a sense of life in the WLF. There's a preschool, a gym, and a massive dining hall filled with soldiers. This is also the first time we see how jacked that Abby is. This quick journey immediately works to begin shifting the player's perspective, while also paralleling the opening chapter of Ellie walking through Jackson. However, if you pay attention to some of the surrounding conversation, you can hear a soldier talking about how he killed a Scar after taking them captive. It highlights that while seeing the WLF society thriving, they are still very much a part of an ongoing war. We also get another Easter egg here when Abby talks to the fellow soldier Jordan. He's absent from the show, but they might bring someone in from the TV station or something. He tells her that he and a group are going to evacuate a hospital and a school, and also mentions that he hopes Leah makes it back from the TV station. This is a callback to earlier in the game, or the forward in the timeline, when Ellie and Dina find the dead bodies of the group after Tommy kills them in chapter 2. The conversation also references the following few sections of that, with Dina and Ellie killing Jordan in the school. The conversation also ends with the players hearing the WLF's motto, "May your survival be long and your death be swift." This slogan could be seen as a chilling prophecy for what's to come, as Abby's friends experience quick and brutal deaths at the hands of Ellie. Not you, Nora. A quick death is seen as a blessing as well, which is why Abby dragged out Joel's. Ellie and Manny also get burritos, just like how Seth gives Ellie sandwiches before going on patrol. Or bigot sandwiches, eh? Abby and Manny also meet up with Mel before going out, and it's awkward to say the least. She and Owen still have feelings for each other, which we saw at the beginning of the game. We also see them go by Alice the dog, which players will remember as the most devastating death of the entire series. No, not I'd have to do it. It's a quick time event. As they head out though, the group are immediately attacked by the Scars on horseback, which causes them to crash. Now on foot, they head to the warehouse to escape the Scars, where they encounter a group of infected, including a Shambler. Though these weren't in the show, they're a subsect of the infected that's been further mutated by Seattle's heavy rainfall. It's really creepy and gross, and I hate them. While exploring, Abby, Manny, and Mel also talk about how there was previously a truce between the Wolves and Scars. We've had that touched upon in the show, and Manny and Mel go back and forth on which side broke it first. This is one of the first times in the game we hear about their long-standing war and the WF versions of the event. The real story is a bit more complicated, but you can head over to our video breaking down the Scars on the channel if you want to learn more. The crew then fights with the Scars until being saved by a platoon of WLF soldiers. Their rescue's a great example of the difference between the Wolves and the people of Jackson, as the WLF have the numbers to provide backup, whereas Ellie and the others of Jackson, the Jacksonites or Jacksonians, they usually go out in pairs and are left on their own basically to fend for themselves if they get in trouble. Another small detail people might have missed is Manny mentioning that he's going to watch a movie but can't remember the name. He does say it's the one with the girl who rides the wolf though, which is most likely a reference to the 1997 anime Prince Mononoke by Studio Ghibli. Princess... that centers around the relationship between humanity and nature and highlights the brutal aspects of humanity that prevent them from living in harmony with one another. This same theme is heavily reflected in The Last of Us and how the cordyceps infection was able to spread so quickly across the globe, with people like the Scars seeing it as a retaliation on humanity by nature for people who don't hit the thumbs up. Now, choosing between the sides, yeah, it's a daunting task, but if you want to show your allegiances, then definitely check out our merch store below the video. There we have our Wolves and Scars themed shirt, and we also have our Clickers one, which you can clicks to go get. If you pick up 2, you get 15% off, and if you pick up 3, you get 20. So thank you if you've got one. Now, once making it to the base, players get a glimpse at the Wolves' operation as they plan their invasion of Scar Island. Abby and Manny learn that one of their crew, Danny's been killed, and that Owen's now missing. Players are then introduced to the WLF leader Isaac, who's torturing a captured Seraphite. This is of course a scene that we got in the show. Isaac then tells Abby and Manny about his plan to wipe out all the Seraphites in an all-out assault. Abby questions Isaac about Owen, and he reveals that Owen's the one who shot Danny to protect a Seraphite. She refuses to believe it and wants to go and find him, but Isaac says he needs her and that the attack on the island is more important than any one soldier. This introduction of Isaac immediately establishes him as someone who's ruthless and willing to do whatever's necessary to take out the Scars. Despite Isaac's orders though, Abby decides to go after Owen on her own. This section also contains a small Easter egg, with Abby having a conversation with the WLF soldier Whitney, who was the first WLF soldier Ellie killed when infiltrating the hospital. R.I.P. PS Vita girl. This takes us to the next section of the game where Abby heads to the aquarium to find Owen. On her way, Abby finds various murals of the Seraphite Prophet, and there's lots of prejudice towards them. Basically, they just say if they wanted peace, they'd just stay on their island. After making her way through multiple groups of Scars, Abby's eventually captured after being ambushed. We then get another flashback of Owen and Abby at the aquarium before they set out to find Joel and Tommy, but nothing really noteworthy happens in this section, so moving on. After being captured, we see Abby being dragged into the woods where the Scars plan to hang her. This is where she meets Laura, who'd left with her sibling Lev. Side note, Lev is transgender, and they left because they were going to be forced to marry one of the elders. Yara refuses to give up Lev's location, and the Scars begin to torture her before Lev saves them both. The three then escape and run through the forest where they encounter multiple groups of infected. The group eventually finds sanctuary in a trailer where Abby helps reset Yara's arm and leaves her and Lev to continue on her way to the aquarium. After encountering more infected, Abby finally reaches it and she finds Owen sitting alone on the boat. Now this sort of brings things full circle from when they first saw it at the aquarium. At the time, their love was beginning to blossom, and we see them return to this spot after both have tried going their separate ways. It basically shows how they always find their way back to each other. Abby then questions Owen about what happened to Danny. He admits to killing him after Owen refused to kill a harmless elderly Seraphite. Owen accidentally shot Danny when the two argued over the Seraphite, which is why Owen chose to run. I do wonder if they're going to do something like that with the rookie from season 2, though we know he's still alive come day 3. Owen's sympathy for the Scars, though, that was alluded to earlier in the game in his conversation with Abby. We see in this moment through his actions with Danny, though, what caused him to fully come to the realization that the propaganda by the WLF had basically made him become a merciless killer. It shows that the line between good and evil isn't as clear as he once thought. Saying he's tired and doesn't want to fight for a cause he doesn't believe in, he tells Abby that he's going to Santa Barbara to rejoin the Fireflies. After arguing over the moral implications of what they're doing for the WLF, the two just can't contain it anymore and then get it on the boat, which got memed on a lot at the time. What it shows though is that these two actually give each other an escape from the constant threat of death and violence. Something that's also paralleled with Ellie and Dina on their journey through Seattle. Once waking up, Abby feels around her neck, recalling her capture at the hands of the Seraphites, and decides to go back and get Yara and Lev. We see here Abby's conversation with Owen has actually begun to shift her perspective, and she questions the path she's on. Beginning day 2, Abby returns to the shipping container where she left Lev and Yara, only to find it overrun by Scars. She finds Lev along with multiple dead and learns that Yara isn't doing that good. Abby takes Yara and she and Lev then return to the aquarium to find Owen and get her help. There they come across Owen and Mel. Honestly, going through this, it made me remember how much of a dickhead Owen is. I mean, come on mate, you're about to be a dad.
I'm gonna be a dad.
Despite their apprehension of them being scars, Mel treats Yara but concludes they have to amputate her arm. Without proper supplies, Lev and Abby set off to the WLF hospital using the Seraphite's intricate network of bridges built in the city's high-rise buildings. This is what they've used to travel on and how they can appear and disappear seemingly out of nowhere. On their way, we learn the Seraphites are hunting Lev because he shaved his head to signify his transition, which was against their rules. Abby admires Lev's courage to break them though, which is a trait she also shares. This further begins to break the dogma of the WLF as she sees her and Lev aren't so different, despite being taught to hate each other. We see this throughout their journey to the bridge as Abby learns more about the Seraphites from Lev. After a harrowing journey traversing the bridges and groups of Seraphites, Lev and Abby fall into the highest section, but luckily land in a pool that's in a hotel near the hospital, because good old plot armor. Making their way to the ground floor, the skyscrapers fill with infected, but slowly the pair become BFFs. Once reaching the hospital, they see the wolves have set up a checkpoint and Abby goes in solo as she can't walk Lev in through the front door. However, the soldiers are skeptical of her story. Obviously, they have people defecting, and she's taken into custody for going AWOL. Luckily, she's freed by Nora and learns that the supplies she needs for Yara are on the bottom level of the hospital. B3, which they've teased a lot, they've constantly in the podcast saying B3's coming, B3's coming. We also learn from Nora that the hospital was ground zero for the cordyceps infection, and where the first infected people were brought before the outbreak. This leads to one of the most intense sections of the game as Abby makes her way through Nightmare Land. Eventually she gets the supplies, but this brings her face to face with the Rat King. Once the hospital was abandoned after the outbreak, the first victims of the infection were left to rot among the spores, which eventually caused the infected to merge together into one gigantic monster. The only one of its kind, it's stronger than any infected we've encountered so far. The Rat King's mutated design was inspired by the movie monsters from 2017 Zygote and Annihilation from 2018. The infected merging together is also a real phenomenon that happens when rats become intertwined with their tails and are bound together forever, which is terrifying, and I wish I didn't know that. Co-directors Anthony Newman and Kurt Margineau also stated this fight between Abby and the Rat King took inspiration from the boss battle between Magni and Modi in God of War 2018. Parts of it break off and scurry around, and yeah, absolute nightmare. After defeating the Rat King and getting the medical supplies though, Abby meets back up with Lev and the two head back to the aquarium to save Yara. Entering day 3, we begin in one of Abby's nightmares, similar to the one we saw earlier when she finds her father's body. However, this time, instead of finding him, she walks in to see that he's alive and smiling. This small opening shows how Abby's experience with Lev and Owen has begun chipping away at her grief. She starts to realize she doesn't have to continue the violent path of vengeance in order to find peace. Abby wakes up and is then confronted by Mel, who clearly knows there's something going on between her and Owen. She calls her a selfish piece of shit, which is harsh, but fair play by Mel, who literally is only ever seen helping people. She's an angel, I hope nothing bad happens to her. Abby and Yara then look for Lev in the aquarium. Turns out Lev ran off after having an argument with Yara about leaving Seattle and their mother on Scar Island. Owen continues being a scumbag, trying to convince Abby to come to Santa Barbara and that they can be happy together if she ends up subscribing. Luckily, the conversation is interrupted though when they discover Lev's taken the boat to go save his mother. Yara and Abby decide to go after him but encounter Manny pinned down by a sniper on their way to the docks. Manny tells Abby that he's already called for backup and that Isaac's executing the attack on the island. Knowing she needs to get to a boat before they arrive, Abby goes to take out the sniper with Manny. Evading the shots and infected, Abby and Manny reach the sniper, only for Manny to be killed. The shooter is also revealed to be Tommy. Abby and Tommy face off, but he's stabbed in the back by Yara and Abby throws him into the water. After defeating Tommy and securing a boat, Yara and Abby arrive at the outskirts of Seraphite Island near the coast. Making their way across the island, the wolves begin their assault and the group rushes to prepare for the invasion. After making their way through multiple groups of Seraphites, Yara and Abby make it to Lev's house and find her mother dead. Lev is found crying in the corner and explains that he accidentally killed her after she attacked him. While an accident, the death of Lev's mother further plays into the central theme of The Last of Us being unable to escape violence. Despite going in with good intentions to save his mum, it still resulted in a very violent death. With Lev saved though, the group heads back to their boat when all hell breaks loose and the wolves attack the Seraphites. While trying to avoid them, Yora's ambushed and stabbed in the throat. Before Abby and Lev escape, they're surrounded by soldiers and then confronted by Isaac. Abby stands in front of Lev to protect him, but before Isaac can shoot them, he's then shot in the back by Yora. Somehow Yora returned. However, she's then killed, like without a doubt, because the soldiers just obliterate her with bullets. This does give Abby and Lev a chance to escape though. This moment showcases how Abby's finally decided to break free from the violence and instead choose friendship and love, something that will play an important part in her final confrontation with Ellie. As Abby and Lev make their escape, they then see that the wolves have set fire to the most populated section of the island, which is called the Haven. The two make their way through the destruction while riding on a black horse, which could be a reference to how a white horse is used to symbol death in the apocalypse. However, the horse being black instead of white could be implying the opposite, with it representing life and bringing them to a brighter tomorrow as Abby and Lev escape the hell of war. As they make their way through both the Scars and Wolves soldiers, the two are thrown from a horse and then continue on foot. As they navigate the burning buildings, Lev is ambushed by a Seraphite brute, which leads to an intense boss fight that actually sees Abby on the back foot. Barely escaping the attack, the two continue onto the docks and finally reach a boat to escape. As they row away, the camera focuses in on the burning town behind them, symbolizing how they've both broken free of being used as tools in others' wars. In the war of others, in the quest for vengeance. Their victory is short-lived though. They discover the bodies of Alice, Mel and Owen once they return to the aquarium. Abby throws up at the side of it and Lev finds Ellie's map, which leads them to the theatre. We then see how Abby and Lev infiltrate the base, bringing us back full circle to where we left things with Ellie at the end of season 2. We then continue in the present with Abby and Lev in a shootout with Ellie. Abby catches her and the two finally face off, with Abby clearly overpowering her. Tina comes to the rescue but is brutally taken down and has her face smashed like the like button. Abby goes to kill her but is then stopped by Lev and they leave Ellie and Dina lying in their own blood. Doing this really hammers home the power of perspective though. Fighting Ellie as a boss is wild and you kind of hate how good that she is. It's hard to really know who you're rooting for during this moment because you're like I am Ellie and I want Ellie to win, but you're also playing as Abby and it's like, yeah, who should win? Abby and Lev then make their way to the Fireflies, which is when they're caught by raiders. Forced into slavery, she's whittled away until she's completely broken down. Ellie hears about her being out there from Tommy and she ends up going on the hunt. However, upon coming across her, she has a change of heart and even helps with her rescue. Unfortunately, she has another change of heart and has flashes of Joel and decides to duke it out with her. This just leads to more pain and misery though, and when Ellie sees Joel again, she decides to spare her life. Ellie then returns home to find it abandoned, having lost Dina and the kid they were raising due to her quest for vengeance. She's lost everything and due to her fingers being bitten off, can't even play Future Days, so her connection to Joel's completely gone. In the end though, once you complete the game, you get a slightly different menu screen there, and it shows that Abby indeed made it to Santa Barbara. So she's likely reunited with the Fireflies. If we ever get that third game, it might tell us more. But yeah, that's where they are, and it's a sort of happy ending for them. Switching the game's narrative to the villain midway through though, that was a bold move, but it pays off by having players physically experience Abby's side of the story and all the terrible things that she did, and how good and evil are ultimately based on perspective. My first time playing the game, I was skeptical that anything would make me able to sympathize with Abby, but just as she was able to break her one-sided view of the Seraphites, seeing her side of things really put things into a broader perspective and allowed me and other people who played as her to have the same experience as the characters. While we have to wait for season 3 to find out how they're going to adapt Abby's story, it will be interesting to see if the show will be able to evoke the same feelings in the audience and make them come around to Abby without that intimate engagement that comes from actually playing as her. But that's the full breakdown of Abby's story in The Last of Us Part 2, and as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What do you want to see in Season 3 in 2027? If you want to follow us on Instagram and also keep up to date with all our updates, then make sure you check us out at Heavy Spoilers. Did you know that members of the channel, you also get early access to videos, and if you click the join button, you'll just have to pay 99 cents a month and you get at least one breakdown a week before anyone else. Or the other members, you and the other members, you're in a big club and you all get early breakdowns. Huge thank you to everyone who's done that though. If you want something else to watch, we've got our breakdown of The Last of Us finale on screen right now, and thank you for going through the series with us. Really meant a lot every week seeing you guys turn up. I know there's been a massive audience drop off in terms of the show, but you guys showing up every week, talking with me about the series, it's made it all the worthwhile. And yeah, huge thank you for doing it. So much appreciated. You take care of yourself, and I'll see you on the next one. I'll see you in the next Last of Us breakdown 2 years from now. Peace.